And good afternoon, everybody. You are now watching week one of the Nova's game day picks for the 2017 season. I wanted to just go ahead and put this up on YouTube. I want to do a live stream, but I do not have the correct software as of yet. That will be coming soon, so hopefully I'll be able to live stream starting with week two. But we'll go from there. But also, I want to address the fact that I did want to do more of a prediction or of an outlook for each of the 32 teams this season. However, getting ready for Hurricane and whatnot, kind of put that on hold. But I did want to get this video out to you guys and get things started like I promised. So, yeah, I'll just try to touch up on what I expect from each team for this season. And I'm going to try to make this short and sweet. It might not be because I like to you know, I dabble and I ramble sometimes. So, uh, but yeah, so I want to get right on into that and get that squared away for you. So I want to go ahead and kick things off tonight because let's go and get right on into it. So we got tonight, game one of the season. We got Kansas City going to Foxborough to face the defending champion New England Patriots. Hate I have to say that again, but yeah. So I like how in last year we literally started the season where we began. We literally ended last or the season before last with Super Bowl 50 with Denver beating Carolina, and literally started week one uh, with that exact same matchup in Denver. Now Atlanta, New England will play later on this year, so we'll get to see that again, just not in week one. But I think this particular game may or may not have playoff implications later on down the line. This may even be a potential playoff matchup. In regards to Kansas City, I don't think they'll be in contention for the AFC West, but I don't think they'll be able to overcome the Raiders in the AFC West. So I do see them as a wild card team this year. And when it comes to New England, they're in the AFC East, so they're automatically winning that division. And given how New England has consistently had 10, even 11, 12 plus win seasons, I can't see how they wouldn't end up with the first round bye, if not the top seed in the AFC. But I do believe they will have some challengers to that though this year. I mean, look at Kansas City in this particular matchup. I believe that they will struggle offensively, even against a defense in New England that doesn't have Logan Ryan anymore, that doesn't have Nick Vince since he retired. Jabal Sheard is not there anymore. Um, this is not the same New England defense that was top five in the league last year, scoring defense, I mean. But they're still coached by Bill Belichick. I do believe that they're not going to be facing any particular threat in this particular game because uh, Jamal Charles is no longer in Kansas City. He's in Denver. Spencer Ware was set to be the starting running back, and then he went down with the injury and he's out for the season. Jeremy Maclin, which was the Chiefs' only main wideout threat, is no longer there. He's gone. They're basically going to be relying on Alex Smith to basically control the game, getting the ball out to Travis Kelsey, having C.J. Spiller and Chartransit West split carries, and maybe an improvement for Tyreek Hill this year. That's what the Chiefs are going to be banking on, not just in this game, but throughout the season. And it's part of the reason why I don't think it'll be enough for them to overtake the Raiders. And it's also why I don't think they'll win this game. Foxborough will be hype. They'll be dropping another banner, their fifth. Uh, Even with the loss of Julian Edelman, them getting what's the dude's name? The speedster. They got the New England got a speedster from Indianapolis. He's a speedster, but he kind of dropped off. Uh, he really hasn't produced so much. They got what's his name? Philip Dorsett. Thank you, Philip Dorsett. They got him, and they did reload in some other areas too. They did get Brandon Cook, so even them not having Edelman this year, Brandon Cooks will help supplant that. Malcolm Mitchell is a pretty good receiver in my opinion. He was really good at Georgia. Um, I think he'll have a bigger role this year. Chris Hogan stepped up um, in his first full year. Uh, Also, don't forget that the Patriots did retain Dante Hightower. So, um, and even though they lost Martellus Bennett, they did get Dwayne Allen. Um, they're still going to be going by running back by committee, and I think with that particular line, with that system, they'll be just fine. I like New England to take this first game this week. That's the Thursday night game. That's tonight's game. That kicks off at 8, if I believe correctly, 8:30. So make sure you tune in if you're not busy, at least for Florida residents, if you're not busy either prepping for evacuation or prepping for the storm, then you want to check for the 8:30. For everybody else, make sure that you get your shit in order for the storm. That's all I can say about that. I want to get into the other games though, and like I'm gonna try to keep these brief. Jacksonville goes to Houston. Speaking of a storm-ridden area, thankfully, that they'll be getting this game up in time. Hopefully, a lot of the revenue from this game can help go toward the relief of Houston. But just to get into the game itself, here are two teams where Jacksonville. I mean, granted, they reloaded on defense. They did get AJ Boyer from Houston to supplant, or not supplant, but to complement Jalen Ramsey. They got Barry Church in free agency from Dallas. Malik Jackson still there. They got Calais Campbell in free agency. The defensive side of the ball should be strong. Also remember that they have a new head coach in Doug Marrone. They had a new football president of operations in Tom Coughlin. The attitude of this team may change. Offensively speaking, I do not expect that much. And that's all in part because of Blake Bortles. Them drafting Leonard Fournette will help in the running game if they still didn't have that line, and I don't trust that line. And Blake Bortles still looks like the Blake Bortles of last year, which is not saying much. And granted, I am wearing this UCF shirt where he did go to, but my brother goes there, so there's that. So I don't expect much from Jacksonville, and I don't expect them to win this game. I think Houston will be fired up, having some football, coming back to the city. Their Astros are doing good, and on top of that, they got a team that has a top 5 defense, who had a top 5 defense last year without J.J. Watt, and J.J. Watt is back this year. So you throw in J.J. Watt, a healthy J.J. Watt, a motivated J.J. Watt, with a retooled and even better Jadeveon Clowney, Whitley Mercilus. That secondary is deep. I like Houston in this game, even whether they're going with Tom Savage or Deshaun Watson, which I think eventually Watson will take Savage's job as starting quarterback. I think he will add a little bit more flair going down the line in the season. And finally, hopefully bring some stability for DeAndre Hopkins. The dude needs a starting quarterback to stay. He's a top 10 receiver in the league. And he's been playing with crappy quarterbacks since ever. So, good luck to Deshaun Watson. I hope, even though I'm a Florida State dude, I know he went to Clemson and won the national championship last year. I hope that he does succeed. So I like Houston in that game to take that one. Next game is the Jets versus the Bills. The Bills will be middle of the pack, in my opinion, as usual. That's just how they play out. They've never been really, really good. They're not really, really bad either. They're just in the middle of the pack. They're a middle of the pack team. They might be closer to, I would say, 5-11 than 7-9, but I wouldn't be surprised if they went 7-9 or 8-8, or even 9-7. Nah, that's giving them too much. They're starting to rebuild now. Watkins is gone. Darby's gone. They did send out a lot of different teams. Bakari Rambo gone. Reggie Ragland gone. He's in KC now. They did sign Anquan Bolden, but then he retired shortly after that. So Mike Gillespie's gone. He's in New England. So there's that. They got Jordan Matthews. They were able to keep Tyrod Taylor, but I mean, I see they're trying to get younger. I just don't think that they're really going to have a serviceable season this year. And when it comes to the Jets, I'm looking at the Jets, and just to be honest, I'm thinking 0-16. I'm not even thinking that they might crack a win this year. The Jets will be in the running for the number one overall pick in the 2018 draft. Okay. I really don't want to speak about the Jets too much, and I'll just leave it at that. If they happen to do anything beyond that, that would be surprising. But with Decker gone, Brandon Marshall gone, Sheldon Richardson traded, their best side of the ball is the defensive side of the ball, and that doesn't even look good anymore. So it's just hard to be excited about the Jets. Who's the starting quarterback? McCown? Yeah. Good luck. Bills should win that game. And it might be close because I'm really not giving too much credit to the Bills either, but the Bills should win that game. New head coach in Buffalo too, if I remember correctly. Yeah, because Rex Ryan's gone. Pittsburgh versus Cleveland. Got Cleveland. Listen, okay, so I plan on picking Pittsburgh to win this game anyway. So, with the Killer Bees being all together for once, because Le'Veon Bell for once is not starting the season suspended or hurt. For once, Big Ben should be relatively healthy. They get Martavis Bryant back from suspension. AB's back. So all the Killer Bees are there, okay? There's no reason why this team should not have a top 5, top 10 offense, okay? Pittsburgh's struggle has always been on the defensive side of the ball. Getting Joe Hayden helps, but not by much. And I'm just being real. They have a solid corner now, but outside of Shazier, Hayden, they're serviceable everywhere else. So for them, it's really going to come down to how many points can that offense put up, and they can put up a lot. So Pittsburgh should have a pretty decent year. I predict that they will win the NFC North. Excuse me, the AFC North. I'll get to the other teams in a minute as to why I don't think they will do anything. I don't really see a wild card coming out of that division either. So I mean, there's that. Well, actually, I'll get to the other teams in a minute. So I'm not going to say that there won't be. I'll just get back to that in a minute. But Cleveland, I was for a minute considering Cleveland to be a dark horse, for a potential wild card berth. And I'll say why, because they did draft Myles Garrett. He looks promising, like a menace on that D-line. Defensively speaking, they're actually not all that bad. Then they drafted Jabril Peppers. They got Deshaun Kaiser, who's not a starting quarterback. They have some serviceable options at wide receiver. They've had a top 5 running game. They had a top 5 running game last year in terms of yards per carry. Their line is transforming into one of the best. The O-line, I mean, is transforming into one of the best in the league. So I was tempted to pick them as a sleeper team. Then today happened. Gets the news that Myles Garrett has a high ankle sprain. Teammate fell on it wrong during practice, and he's probably going to be out for a few weeks. So Cleveland will be Cleveland. Pittsburgh will win this game. I think that's all I need to say about that. Arizona going to Detroit. Arizona's one of those teams where I don't know what in the world happened to Arizona last year. Like, the bottom just fell out after that week 1 loss that they should have won against New England. And despite that, David Johnson had a hell of a season last year before he ended up going down to injury. Now, he will be coming back. He should be relatively healthy. They do return most of their starters on offense. Outside of losing Calais Campbell, they're returning much of that vaunted pass defense of theirs. Can they stop the run? I think that would be an issue. Um, can Arizona get back to that high fly offense that they had in 2015? I think that will be an area of contention. I could see Arizona competing for a wild card spot. I don't think they'll have enough to overtake the Seahawks this year. But I do expect them to at least perform better than what they were last year. When it comes to Detroit, I don't expect much from Detroit at all. And that has more or less to do with the fact that Detroit really didn't improve that much when I look at it on defense. Detroit's returning most of their team as is. And granted, you still got Stafford, who is, I guess gets the highest paid contract in the league, but that team has, Golden Tate, Marvin Jones, they're solid receivers. They're not guys who you look and say, oh, that guy right there, that's the number one receiver on that team. And since Megatron's been gone, that's exactly what Matt Stafford's needed. The tight end position has not been kind to him. Eric Ebron has basically been underperforming since he got drafted. Sad to say. So, I don't think Detroit will be able to do enough to challenge Green Bay. I don't even think they'll have enough to even challenge Minnesota, to be honest, in terms of the number 2 spot in the NFC North. But in terms of this particular game, I am going to go with the Cardinals. I just trust that team a little bit better. So going on to the next game, we got the Falcons. Falcons should be Super Bowl champions today. They blew that 25-point lead in the Super Bowl. What kind of hangover will they have? Everybody expects, I see a lot of experts are expecting Atlanta to bounce back and expect them to take the NFC again to get back to the Super Bowl to play in Minnesota this year. Some even expect them to win it. And they got Dontari Poe from Kansas City to help bolster that line. They drafted Tat McKinney, or McKinley, I think is his last name, who I think he'll be a promising end in the league, or linebacker, I guess, pass rushing linebacker. Deion Jones be improving. Their secondary is pretty decent. Can they get lockdown plays on defense? They can create turnovers, but can they get lockdown plays on defense? That offense should be amazing. Matt Ryan, the MVP, Julio Jones, Tyler Gabriel, Mohamed Sanu. They got flyers, man. And granted, I get that Kyle Shanahan is no longer there. Now he's the head coach of the 49ers. But the system, for the most part, is still going to be in place. So that part, I think, will be the most interesting to see. Atlanta should win this game and win it easily, going up against Chicago, who is starting Mike Glennon, who lost their best wide receiver in Meredith. Still Kevin White's there, but I look at Chicago, and outside of Howard, who had a great rookie season outside of Zeke, I don't really expect much from them, offensively speaking. Defensively, that front four, the front seven is actually pretty decent. It's the back four that will get them killed. And Chicago will be bottom feeding. I think they'll be another team that may be in contention for the top pick in the 2018 draft. So I like Atlanta winning easily on the road. This next game is hard for me to pick because when I look at Oakland, who's going to Tennessee to face the Titans, Oakland will be, in my opinion, the favorite to win the AFC West. I believe they will win the AFC West. Tennessee should win the AFC South to win it easily. Neither one of these teams have schedules that will just give them the crown, though. the AFC West plays both the NFC and AFC East. That means that Oakland will have to play New England. They'll have to play the Giants. They have to play the Cowboys, the Eagles. Because I do believe the NFC East will be as strong this year as it was last year. Because only one team, I believe, actually finished with the sub 500 record. Actually, no. Yeah, no team actually finished with a sub 500 record in the NFC East last year, and I think you might have that situation again. Um, the health, Derek Carr going down last year turned around not just the season for the Raiders, but in my opinion, turned around the entire playoff picture. Uh, the Raiders should have been the number two, if not the number one overall seed last year. That didn't happen. They ended up being the five. They ended up going down to uh, a subpar Houston team who defensively speaking, gave New England a fight, but just offensively couldn't get anything done. Kansas City, meanwhile, goes down to Pittsburgh, and then you see what happened after that. So as long as Oakland can stay healthy, um, granted they got tough divisional matchups with Kansas City. I think that'll be their biggest challenge. Denver getting Brock Osweiler back. I'll get to that when I talk about Denver. But still, I believe that there is no team better built to win AFC West this year than the Raiders. And also, I believe when I look at Tennessee, they're the most complete team in that division. I don't know exactly how much that's saying because, in my opinion, the AFC South is the weakest division in the entire league. But I look at Tennessee, them getting Logan Ryan, getting Eric Decker, Derrick Henry. I expect to get more carries this year. I look at Mariota going into his third year. The dude hasn't thrown a red zone interception yet. Think about that crap. Uh, I believe he'll have himself a great season. Uh, I think they've reloaded on defense. Um, I look at Tennessee, man, and to be honest, not only do I think they'll win the South, they'll be in contention for a top one or two spot this year. I think they'll actually be that good. Now they're going to be tested this year, but I do believe they'll be in a top spot for they'll be in the running for a top spot this year. Um, if that makes them Super Bowl contenders, hey, so be it. But Tennessee should have a pretty decent year. And when it comes to this game is actually going to play a part in which of those two teams might end up with a top spot, potential bye, in my opinion, down the road. I am going to go with Tennessee at home on this one, but it should be fun to watch, man. Should be fun to watch. Baltimore versus Cincinnati, another divisional game. Um, Baltimore, they get back Trash Flacco. Yeah, I said he's trash. He dude has been anything since they won the Super Bowl, and then he's been hurt. And now he's coming back with relatively no practice. But Baltimore goes only as far as Joe Flacco goes, and if he's not good enough to go that far, then Baltimore is basically all but done this year. They'll put up fights in their divisional matchups, and this will be one where they will. But they're facing a team who I think is better talented than Cincinnati, which is why I think Cincinnati will win this game. However, when it comes to Cincinnati, talent has never been the problem. Discipline has. Can they stay disciplined enough to challenge Pittsburgh in the AFC North to take at least a wild card spot, if not take the division itself? That will be the question to watch out for Cincinnati this year. Okay, I'm taking Cincinnati in this game. Another divisional matchup: Philadelphia opening up on the road against Washington. Look, Philadelphia finished strong. They did get wins over the Giants and the Cowboys, even though that Week 17 game against the Cowboys was relatively. The Cowboys kind of just started resting their players. For those who forgot. So when I look at the Eagles, though, Wentz going into his second year, getting some weapons in Alshon Jeffrey, if he can stay healthy, Torrey Smith, if he can stay healthy. Um, and then they're getting LeGarrette Blount in free agency to help in the run game. If that offensive line can be decent, then Philadelphia might cause some problems, and not just in the NFC East, but the NFC as a whole. Um, I don't really believe in their defense all that well, but they do have Darby now in that secondary since they lost Nolan Carroll to the Cowboys, but that defense I think will end up being the crutch or their shield. Um, I do expect Wentz to have a better season than he did last year. I think Wentz, I'll say this much, and I don't really like giving Philadelphia any credit for anything. They really hit it for Wentz. I think Wentz might be the truth to that franchise for a long time. I look forward to the battles that I think he and Dak will have going forward in their careers. Um, they're going up against Washington, with Washington being at home. Cousins generally plays well at home, but he no longer has Deshaun Watson. Pierre Garçon is not the deep threat that Deshaun Jackson, is. Um, you got Terrell Pryor, who I think will be good in red zone situations, but overall, I mean, the dude is a good athlete, great athlete, pretty good receiver, but hard for me to have faith in Washington. Never mind the fact that I don't like him. So uh, I look forward to seeing Philadelphia win that game. I do believe that they'll beat the Redskins. I think it'll be close though, but I think Washington will end up falling by a late turnover to the Eagles. Now all those games I just listed were the 1 o'clock games, so we're going to get into the 4 o'clock games now. There are 3 of those. So you got Indianapolis going to LA to face the Rams. Scott Tolzien will be starting for the Colts with Luck being out in week 1. That being said, Samuel Watkins being in LA now, Jeff Goff going into his Jared Goff season going into his second year. How will Todd Gurley bounce back after the abysmal year last year? The defense for the Rams hit and miss at times. Sometimes they look like they could, really shut down some strong teams, like the way they did against, I believe it was Seattle last year. But I mean, it's a divisional matchup, but Seattle's a strong team all around. But other times, they're lackluster. It's just a matter of which team, can they be consistent? Now, Indy loaded up quite a bit over the offseason on defense. We're going to see how that plays out for them. As far as this particular game goes, I will still go with the Colts. As much as I kind of want to pick the Rams in this one, I'm going to go ahead and go with the Colts. It wouldn't surprise me if the Rams won, but I just think the Colts have a better team at this particular juncture right now. So I'm going to take Indianapolis in that one. Carolina versus San Francisco. You got the debut of head coach Kyle Shanahan in San Francisco. Beyond that, there is not too much to be excited for when it comes to San Francisco. Where did they improve, really, that you could say, oh, San Francisco, they're making moves right now. Other than head coach and GM, they really didn't improve anywhere else. So Carolina should win this one. This will be a bounce back. This is basically a good soft opening to see exactly how Cam Newton's shoulder is and see exactly where this team is. And I look forward to seeing Christian McCaffrey. I think that dude's going to be a beast, possibly rookie of the year in my opinion. Other than outside of Joe Mixon, and what I forgot to mention when I was talking about Cincinnati, outside of Joe Mixon and Leonard Fournette, I think Christian McCaffrey will be in the running, or should be the clear favorite, in my opinion, to win Rookie of the Year. Get a white dude credit. White dudes can run, all right? Seattle versus Green Bay, another marquee matchup in Week 1. Last year, Seattle went to Green Bay and got destroyed. I don't know if they're going to take that sitting down lightly. I don't expect them to, but at the same time, they didn't really do much to improve on their offensive line. But that being said, Green Bay's defense, in my opinion, got weaker. weaker. Excuse me. Micah Hyde is gone now, so he's gone. What's the dude's name? The one that keeps getting concussions. Well, Peppers is definitely gone. He's back in Carolina. Uh, yeah, I mean, they're still gonna be relying much on the pass rush with Clay Matthews and all, but I just don't think that. I don't think that'll be enough throughout the season. Um, in my opinion, that might be the reason why Green Bay might lose out on the top spot in the NFC when it comes to playoff positioning. These two teams I do expect for them to win their divisions though. Seattle I think will have a much harder time considering their schedule because they're playing I believe they're playing the NFC they're playing the NFC East for sure. So they're gonna have to see Dallas, they're gonna have to see the Giants, and you're gonna have to see the Eagles. Um, I believe they're playing the AFC South. So I mean, they're gonna have some cushion games in between there, but still, Green Bay, they got the bad man that is Aaron Rodgers, man. Uh, Getting Martellus Bennett from New England. Uh, Not that they really, were worse off when they had Jared Cook, but he's in Oakland now. Uh, them getting having a healthy Jordy Nelson, Randall Cobb, Ty Montgomery, all those guys being healthy. Um, am I going to say this is going to be a shootout? I don't know, man, because that depends on what Seattle offensive line shows up. If they can protect your boy Russell Wilson good enough, help him get the ball to Jimmy Graham, getting to the receivers, and get to those receivers, getting the ball to Doug Baldwin or Jimmy Graham. Um, Eddie Lacy going back to Green Bay as a member of the Seahawks. What that run game is going to be like, I mean, I just don't know. I do think that this defense in Seattle is going to be motivated to avenge what happened to them last year. And for that reason and that reason alone, I'm picking them to win this game. I'm going to take Seattle on the road. And that is the 4:25 kickoff. Now we get to the 8:30, the Sunday night game. My Cowboys hosting the Giants again in week 1, again on NBC football Sunday night. Again. This battle will be won in the trenches. Make no mistake. Zeke will be able to play in this game. I do believe that Dallas is not looking forward to losing 3 straight after being swept last year to these Giants. I think they're going to try to take advantage of every opportunity that they can get. I do expect Dak to have a better season as a sophomore. I think you'll see him being more confident in throwing the football. I think that rapport he now has with Dez Bryant is going to pay off as well as with Cole Beasley. And you see how somehow all the time Jason Witten happens to get open. Strong as that defensive front is for the Giants, that defensive unit, not just the front, but the unit. If OBJ is going to be out and hurt,